Alright, and welcome back to another video. This time, we are playing Helltaker again. But, like the Steins Gate video, I am alone again. My podcast crew just seems pretty busy today, so just gotta do all this stuff on my own. I mean, it's my channel. I don't expect them to help me, but if they want to, I don't expect them to join me, but, you know, if they want to, they can. Anyway, we finished up the Drought Estate and we're going on to Azazel next. Alright, let's just hop right in. After your debacle at your... I can't say it without an accent. Debacle at the museum, Azazel sequesters herself to her room for days on end. And if it weren't for communal meal times, you wouldn't see her at all. Although she seems relatively composed during breakfast and dinner, her solitude at all other times of the day, while not entirely abnormal, concerns you. The museum was the perfect place for her to gather up a lot of information for her thesis in a relatively short amount of time, after all. But now she's been banned. You worry that she isn't taking things all too well. So, one day you decide to check in with the curious angel. You knock at her door, unsure of what to expect. Come in. But Azazel sounds just as chippier as ever. Hey, it's just me, Huzzah, Mr. Taker! You came at the perfect time. I just finished sorting through and organizing all my notes from the museum. You glance to the side and see 7 neat piles of notes stacked precariously atop Azazel's desk. So that's what you've been doing up here all this time? Yep. Thanks to our trip to the museum, I think I'll be able to shorten the time it'll take me to finish my thesis by about a decade. A decade? That's a lot. Aren't you upset that we can't go back? A little. But that's okay. I'm just happy I'm able to get what information I got. Thanks to you, I'll be able to finish my thesis 0.00001% quicker. That's certainly good to hear. So what do you say we take a bit of a break to celebrate? That depends. What sort of break did you have in mind? Well, there's an ice cream cart in the park. And the park that I heard just expanded their selection to 16 flavors. I was thinking we could go there and maybe sample all of them. Perhaps we can even think about it as research for your thesis. Clever boy. As he's using the dates as a way to just bring her out, and I like that. I'm sure you'll need a section on frozen treats sooner or later, right? At your suggestion, Azazel's eyes become as wide as saucers. She hurriedly jolts something down in her notebook before leaping to her feet. The angel dashes for the door, grabbing you by the arm on your way out. Don't just sit there, Mr. Taker. There's research to be done. She all but drags you down the stairs. You just barely manage to snag your keys off the hook by the front door as you are shoved outside. At your back, you catch the sound of someone shouting after you. What in the... Where are you off to in such a hurry? Ice cream! Ah. If they have a coffee flavor, you better bring me a scoop. You turn to respond, but find that the door has already slammed shut behind you. Looking ahead, you see that Azazel is already sitting in the passenger seat, her face pressed firmly against the window. Sighing, you hop behind the wheel. Soon, the engine roars to life and you set your sights for the park. At the very moment you pulled in, Azazel hops out and draws her notebook from her belt like some sort of action hero. You then lead the way forward until you hear the ice cream cart's soft jingle calling out to you. Ah, there you are. There we are. With Azazel bouncing at your heels, you approach the man in the cart. Lev? I thought you retired. The old man sighs and looks at you with a weary expression hidden beneath the artificially cheerful customer service mask. I wish, my friend. Fortunately, my days here are numbered. Oh? Hired, hired my replacement not too long ago. She's an odd one for sure, but she'll do. In any case, what can I get you guys for today? First 2 scoops are on me. You glance back at Azazel. The angel turns your look with one of wide-eyed anticipation. We'll take one of everything, Liv. Though the old man raises an eyebrow, he doesn't protest. Coming right up. With that, he begins scooping out dollops of ice cream onto his cones and handing it to you and Azazel. As you're watching the man dolt out ice cream, you feel a weight at your back. You can't shake the feeling that you're being spied upon. But when you turn around to look, you see nothing but an empty park. It doesn't take long before your arms fill up with ice cream. Fortunately, Lev is kind enough to provide you with a solution for such a problem, in the form of a cardboard tray that holds all of your cones for you. True to his words, you get the first 2 scoops for free. Sadly, you have to pay for the other 14. After coughing up the cash, you and Azazel scout out a nice bench where you can sit and sample all the flavors. As you're treating yourself to a hearty sample of mint chocolate chip, the sensation of being watched returns. This time, however, you turn to find the source and are startled to discover a familiar, stout little man standing directly behind you. What the hell? You nearly drop your tray of ice cream as you leap from your seat. Azazel, who had been taking notes of her ice cream viscosity? Hang on. Give me 1 second, I'm going to look this up. Viscosity. The state of being thick, sticky, or semi-fluid in consistency due to internal friction. Azazel, who had been taking note of her ice cream's viscosity. Oh, I see. Follows your gaze and, upon discovering the source of your fright, screamed as well. It is the guardian of the Renaissance exhibit. Oh. He has come to exact his revenge. Save the ice cream. Just as it looks like Azazel is going to flee, the man interjects. Please, I mean you no harm. I only ask that you hear me out. You and Azazel exchange a hesitant glance. Alright. I came to apologize for chasing you out of my museum the other day. Wait, so you sought us out? How'd you find us? That is not important. I think it's pretty important. What is important that you are right, miss? I was? Yes. And so I was wrong to shout at you the way that I did. But I implore you to understand my position in the matter. The claim you made was damning. Something that can ruin a reputation in an instant. Oh. And with the museum struggling for funds as it is, I desperately wanted to brush off your accusation as baseless, but I just couldn't bring myself to ignore it. Your claim needled into my mind to such a degree that I found myself unable to sleep at night, and perhaps that is because I, too, had my doubts regarding the fertility of some of those pieces. Quite a handful of them are so rare that I wonder how I ever managed to get my hands on them. But that is neither here nor there. What I am saying is that my curiosity got the better of me. It's hard for forensic art specialist to suss out the truth of the matter. I felt that hearing it from an expert would put my anxious mind at ease. However, since to my jargon, she confirmed right away that the pieces in question was a forgery. At this, the tearful man puts his face in his hands and begins to quietly sob. What am I to do now? Unsure of what to say, you look to Azazel. The angel frowns but sits next to the man and begins to pat him on the back. That is some really nice art, I like that. Would you like some ice cream? Azazel offers the man her cone. Touched by the gesture, the curator smiles in spite of his tears and graciously accepts the frozen treat. Thank you. I wish there was more we could do. Well, if you'll permit me, there is a little more to this story. There is? Indeed. After hearing from the forensic specialists, I grew suspicious. I was certain that I had had that piece inspected before approving it for the gallery, so I decided to dig out my old records thinking that I must have missed something. But when I found the certificates for that piece, it wasn't a forgery when you got it, was it? Precisely. Now that is a conundrum. Do you think someone could have stolen the original and replaced it with a fake? I have my suspicions, but no way to prove them correct. As I said before, the museum's funding is trembling at best. I'm ashamed to admit that I dug into the last of our budget just to hire that specialist to verify the validity, or lack thereof rather, for just that one piece. Though I believe that some of the other paintings may have been stolen as well, I am at the end of my rope. Without money, I cannot prove these beliefs to be correct. And I'm afraid that if I were to call the authorities, the news would paint me as a charlatan who deals in fakes. I cannot have that happen. Hang on, give me a moment here. Okay, I'm back. You're wondering if we could help you figure out which of your pieces are fakes? Yes. Don't you feel a certain amount of sympathy for the art curator's plight, since the responsibility of slewing out forgeries falls upon Azazel's shoulders? The onus is on her to accept or deny the request. As such, you look to the angel to see what it is she plans to do. And look in Azazel's eyes, you can tell that her heart aches for the man just as much as yours does. She is an angel, so it does fit. Before she can open her mouth to accept his request, however, the curator bursts into tears. Those sobs you can't just barely make out his pleas. I have little that I can offer in return. I wouldn't blame you for saying no after how I've treated you thus far. But please, I beg of you to lend me your charity just this once, and I promise I will pay it in kind. Taken aback by the man's sorrow, Azazel looks to you for affirmation. With a nod, you agree, silently, to help the poor curator. Mr. Curator, please don't cry. We will help you. All at once, the sobbing stops and the man looks up to Azazel with a look of hope. Do you mean that? We do. We won't be able to come today, but we will make time to be there soon. Hearing this, the curator leaps to his feet and hurries to shake your hand. Through tears still glistened at the corner of his eyes, the radiance of his joy quickly dries them away. Any time will do, really. Just give me a call when you're on your way, and I will shut down the exhibit for you both. Will do. I wish there was something I could do in return, but the only thing in my power to offer is the first look at all the new exhibits before they are put out on the museum floor. You already know who was going to enjoy that. Typically, this is a privilege reserved for historians and researchers. But would that be something you are interested in? You glance over the curator's shoulder. Azazel's eyes are gleaming with excitement. Yeah, I think we'd like that very much. I am glad to hear it. I look forward to your call. And with that, the curator departs. As you watch him leave, you cannot help but notice a certain spring in his leap. Turning back to Azazel, still awestruck by the opportunity that has fallen neatly into your laps, you let out a sigh. A sigh. It's getting late. Shouldn't we be heading home, too? Can we go to the museum tomorrow? We'll see. Before leaving the park, you stop by at Lev's ice cream stand and pick up a scoop of coffee ice cream from Pandamonica. With renewed vigor, you and Azazel find yourselves thrust into an all-new adventure. And as you look at the angels sitting next to you, it is difficult to imagine sharing in this particular adventure with anyone else. True. Wow, without a Kai here, I did this like in 15 minutes. So that means I could do hers. This one I am excited to see. True to your word, just to start hitting the gym on a regular basis. There grew Though grueling at times, the workouts leave you feeling better than ever. With a newfound spring in your step, you decide that it's time to complete some of the more menial household errands that you had been putting off until now. Starting with some of the boxes that are laying around in Modius's closet, you begin carting your old junk out to the car for donations. As you are carrying a particularly cumbersome box, one filled to the brim with your old model sets and paints, you run into Justice in the living room. Literally. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Taker has something big in his hands, and then Justice is blind, so. Whoa there, Chief. But knowing the two, I think Taker fell to the ground and Justice just stood there, right? You clattered to the ground in an amazing display of stooge-like physical comedy. Nice. And as if that wasn't enough, the withered tape holding the box together gives way and its contents spill out onto the floor. Sorry, Taker, I didn't hear you coming. It's alright. Here, let me help you clean up. Oh, that isn't necessary. Nonsense. I'm happy to help. Before you can protest any further, Justice, already feeling around on the floor, she places her hand on one of the pieces that had escaped the box. Oh, that's nice. I need to do something. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Just need to do something very quickly. Aha! Oh, what's this? It's nothing. Doesn't feel like nothing. You watch with a mix of horror and embarrassment as Justice ponders over the object in her hands. Now what we have here? A toy of some sort? This reminds me a lot of the knights that were all over the place when I was young. I remember children would run across with these little wooden replicas of warriors they favored the most. Could this be one of your old toys from when you were a kid? Not exactly. Oh? It's a model. A model? Yeah, collecting them was an old hobby of mine. What do you do with them after you collect them? Well, you're supposed to paint them. After that, it depends on the person, I suppose. Some people just keep them around to look at. Other people like to use them in games. I see. What would you do with them? Well, I want to paint them and put them up for display, but you look sheepishly at the figure that Justice has in her hand. Hands. Color choice aside, the paint job itself is atrocious. The paint is gobbled on so thickly that many of the model's more intricate details have been lost. Beyond that, the shading is inconsistent, the freehand work looks like a child's crayon drawing, and there's still evidence of glue at the joints where the excess was not wiped away properly. But what? I never got the hang of it. Painting was never my strong suit. So what are you going to do with them now? I'm not sure. They've just been sitting in boxes cluttering up Modius's closet since I got back from hell. Maybe someone who's better at painting can strip the color and do them properly. With a sigh, you begin gathering up the figures and lay scattered over the living room floor. Expecting Justice to pinch in and help right away, you are surprised when the demon does not move. Justice? Looking up, you are met with a surprising sight. Justice is frowning. You don't like painting anymore? No, I do. It's just... Then why are you getting rid of this stuff? Well, I haven't touched it in a long time, so all it's doing is taking up space. Why don't you just move it all into your room then? I could do that, I suppose, but... But what? I just really don't think I'm cut out for painting, Justice. I gotta be honest with you, Taker. It makes me sad to think that you're giving up on something you once enjoyed. You say you aren't good at painting? So what? Is there a competition? No. Do you have to be the best painter out there? No, I suppose not. Answer me this honestly. Even though the paint jobs weren't great, you still enjoyed painting, didn't you? I did. Then who cares? Pardon? Look, I know that it feels good to be good at something, but this is a hobby, man. You're not entertaining them in any competition and you aren't selling them for profit, so who cares if you're good or not? All that matters is you and the enjoyment you get out of the deal. Right? Okay. That's true. That's very true. I love this character. At the end of the day, I'm not going to tell you what to do here. If you really want to get rid of this stuff, go for it. I won't stop you. But if you ask me, I don't think you really want to close the door on this hobby. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you enjoyed the hell out of painting these things. And the only reason you're quitting is because there's this little voice in your head that's needling you and saying that you have to be good at something for it to be worthwhile. Well, I say screw that. Being good at a hobby is secondary. Happiness is what really counts. Oh, you're perfect. You find yourself looking down at the figures resting in your palm. It's true, the paint job is horrendous, but nevertheless you recall the excitement you felt when you bought it, when you brought it home and took it out of the box. You remember staring wide-eyed at the pieces laid out before you, daydreaming of all the colors you wanted to use. It took you all afternoon just to paint that one figure. An afternoon well spent. You're right. I do miss this hobby. And I don't really want to get rid of all this stuff. Then don't. Here, let me help you clean this all up, and then we can set it up all up in your room, yeah? Maybe you can just describe to me just how you've painted some of these little dudes. You nod and set to work cleaning up the figures off the living room floor. With Justice's help, it doesn't take you long at all. And soon the two of you are sitting side by side on your bed, with the box contents laid out before you. Grinning from ear to ear, Justice has the figure of a knight in her hands and is feeling it all over her fingertips. Now what about this one? It's red. Just red? Yeah. Well, what kind of red? Is it a deep blood red or a bright crimson? Or maybe it's closer to a soft rose. No, it's not like that. It's, red. Oh, just red. No, there's also some yellow for the lions on the shield. I see. And how about this one? That's an elf sort of character. I painted her robes green. As you watch Justice play with the figures in her hand, a thought occurs to you. Say, Justice. I don't want to sound rude, but how can you picture what colors are what? I wasn't always blind, you know. You weren't? No, when I was much younger I could see. Oh, what happened? So long story, Taker. Perhaps one for another day? Sorry, I didn't mean to pry. Don't worry about it, Chief. If it were up to me, I'd have no problem telling you all about it. But since there are others in the house that are involved in that story, I don't want to out their pasts without their consent, you know? I understand. Without missing a beat, Justice reaches for another figure. What color is this one? Actually, I haven't painted that one yet. Really? Yeah. I've been meaning to get around to it, but I've been a little sidetracked lately. Well, what are you waiting for now? You got the paints and the brushes. Now is as good as a time as any to slap a coat on this bad boy. I suppose you're right. Let's see here. You rummage around in the box for your paints. However, much to your dismay, you find them in bad sorts. Many of the hues have leaked out due to being improperly closed, while others have gone bad outright. Damn. What is it? My paints are bad. Ah, that's a bummer. Looks like I didn't close them properly. I'll have to restock at some point. My voice is getting nasally for some reason, I'm not sure why. Where do you usually get your paints? There's a little hobby shop in town. They've got a big wall of paints, so I shouldn't have a problem loading up on the new colors. Can I come with you? Oops. I don't mean to do that. You really want to? Of course. We can browse through some of their models too, right? I should expand my collection, shouldn't I? That's what I like to hear. So it's a date, right? Yeah, it's a date. I could have continued. Come on. That was too short. Do I have time for another one? Yeah, I do. I think I'll get the same spiel with Lucifer, so I'll go with Judgment here. I'm guessing Lucy is supposed to be last all the time or something. I'm not entirely sure. Now it has been a while since you visited the Butterfly Conservatory with Judgment. That day remains at the forefront of your thoughts. While you originally intended to use it only as a way to engage with the High Prosecutor on one of her apparent interests, you feel yourself growing similarly intrigued by the fluttering creatures. This curiosity of yours drives you to pursue the literature that has handed out after the tour. According to the pamphlet, it is possible to donate butterfly snacks. Tubes of sliced up fruit to the conservatory as a way of helping out and getting involved. Thinking this the perfect way to satisfy your interest, you make your way to the kitchen. However, on your way to past Judgment. Past Judgment. Oh. However, on your way, you pass by Judgment's shut door. Looking at it reminds you of how the day ended. You lament the fact that precious little of her since then. Should I try knocking on her door again? Yeah, it couldn't hurt to try, honestly. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Though hesitant, you decide to try one last time to get her attention. As you knock, you strain your ears to listen for signs of movement inside. Judgment? You hear nothing. I was just going to do some work in the kitchen, and I was wondering if you'd like to help out. Judgment? No response. Frowning, you return to the kitchen. Once there, you dig out a knife, cutting board, and every bit of fruit you have stashed away in the pantry. Then, after donning your apron, you set to work. What the hell was that? No. You set to work slicing everything up into small cubes. As you are working, you hear someone enter the kitchen at your back. Turning, you are surprised to see none other than Judgment standing in the doorway. Oh, hey there, Judgment. The demon stares back at you, wide-eyed and blushing. Hey, Taker. I was just looking for a snack. With a nod, you return your attention to the task at hand. Then you can hear Judgment rummaging around in the pantry behind you. You can feel her gaze burning a hole at your back. Soon enough, the clatter stops and Judgment steps up next to you to peer around your shoulder. What are you doing? Making fruit medleys? What for? Butterfly snacks. Oh, I see. Can I help? Wordlessly, you hand Judgment an apron and a knife before slapping down a cutting board next to you and stepping aside to give the demoness room to work. Judgment's approaches the countertop and removes her gauntlets. Then the two of you set to work, chopping up fruits and dividing it up into dozens of plastic containers. Okay, that's cute. Soon the tapping of your knives against the cutting boards echoes throughout the kitchen. And amidst the quiet rhythm, you notice a faint smile dancing across Judgment's lips. Smiling in turn, you continue your task. Have you any more thoughts to our predicament? Predicament? What are you referring to, mortal? The butterflies. Shouldn't we fortify our home against the coming invasion? Perhaps. Or perhaps we should explore our avenues. Such as? Diplomacy. Diplomacy? Diplomancy? I don't know. Yes, if we can placate the beasts with sustenance, we can avoid any unnecessary bloodshed. I see. Is that what you would prefer? I would. As would I. Judgment grins and bumps another load of fruit into the plastic containers. As you prepare to do the same, you hear something that catches you by surprise. Judgment has begun to hum. The sounds of her voice fills the room and you find yourself looking at the demoness in shock. Judgment, All of a sudden, the scene of smoke stings your nose. Is Adriana going to ruin another date? The hell is going on in here? I thought I caught a whiff of something sweet coming from the kitchen, so I got hungry. But it's just you nerds. Hey Zajada, don't worry. I'll get started on dinner after I'm done here. Good. What are you doing anyway? I want to make fruit medleys to donate to the Butterfly Conservatory, and Judgment's here to offer to help. Here offered to help. The demon puts her hand over her mouth and makes a gagging noise. Ugh, forget I asked. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that you do something like this, Taker. I am, however, a little shocked at you, Judgment. Who would have known that the High Prosecutor of Hell would do something so sickeningly nice? Next thing I know, you'll be letting sinners slide for a few decades with an IUU, eternal damnation. Oh wait, that already happened, didn't it? It's like somebody's losing their edge. Ooh, that's, yeah. Oh boy. Before you can protest, Zajada breaks out into a cackle. Spewing smoke with each heartily guffaw. Oofa. I don't know how to pronounce that. The demoness wipes a box of crackers off to the counter and departs, leaving you and Judgment alone in the kitchen once more. Silence descends upon you, yet the ringing of Zadrada's laughter still echoes in your ears. Jeez, what's her problem? Shaking your head, you look over at Judgment. The demoness is facing the counter with her hands gripping the sides of her cutting board hard enough to turn her knuckles white. At first you think that this is a display of anger, but the slight glimmer of tears in the corner of her eyes causes you to think otherwise. Judgment? Fool. I'm sorry? May I take my leave now? Yeah, I can take it from here. With that, Judgment removes her apron, seizes her gauntlets, and scurries out of the kitchen. A moment later, you hear her bedroom doors slam shut. Left to yourself once again, you let out a long sigh before finishing up with your task. Thanks to Judgment's help, there isn't much left to do. It only takes you a few minutes to slice up the last few pieces of fruit and divide that up into the medleys. Then you close up the containers, wash off the knife, and load everything up into a couple of boxes for transport. As you are carrying these boxes out to the car, Justice approaches you. Hey, Chief, when's dinner? Oh, hey, Justice. I love when her glasses shot like that. I'll get started on it as soon as I get back. Nice, I'm starving. Where are you heading off to? I'm going to take these fruit medleys to the Butterfly Conservatory. You made all those yourself? No, Judgment helped out quite a bit. Judgment? Well, that's a surprise. Zadrada said something similar. Zadrada saw. That's no good. What do you mean? I like how much justice is in these second dates. This is like our third time showing up. I'm gonna say this. Keep up the good work, and I'm all for it. The more justice, the better. If I can be frank, that woman talks out of her ass so much, it's probably become a second mouth at this point. You're not wrong. I'm guessing she said something that made Judgment leave, didn't she? Yeah, actually, she did. Is Judgment okay? I wonder about that myself sometimes. Is there something I should know? I'd say. Let me begin by saying that Judgment and I have been friends for a very long time, Taker. Heck, I knew her back when I was the High Prosecutor. So there's a lot of history there. And it could get a little messy. But if it's you, perhaps I can let you in on a few things. If it'll help me understand judgment more, I'm all ears. That's what I like to hear. All right. First, let me start by saying that Judgment wasn't always the High Prosecutor that you know today. Before I chose her as my successor, she was known as the nicest demon. Seriously? Seriously. Well, that explains a few things. Go on. For a long time, she wore the title with pride, but then she took the position of High Prosecutor. Everything changed after that. Her old title became something of a hindrance for her. How could demons and sinners respect someone who was so well known for being nice? Hell isn't a terrible terribly kind place to those who are nice. So with my help, she did what she had to do. She killed the nice part of herself? In a way. Rather, and I'm ashamed now to admit that this was primarily my idea, she suppressed her true nature in favor of a totally new persona, a facade that she wears whenever the situation demands that she must be the High Prosecutor of Hell. But, while at first Judgment was able to switch between these two images of herself, soon the High Prosecutor's side of her took over completely, and we never got to see the kind demon we once knew surface again. I fear that maybe she's gotten so deep into the other personality of hers that she can no longer snap out of it. Perhaps she's afraid that nobody will accept her old self. Oh. When I realized this, I mourned the friend I once knew and put forth effort to get to know the new Judgment instead. It's been an adjustment, to say the least. But if what you say is true, Taker, maybe that part of her is not dead after all. Maybe the kind demon is still lurking around in her somewhere. Maybe. Thank you for telling me all of this. There must be something I can do to help the situation. I truly hope there is, Taker. Because, if I'm being honest with you, there is a part of me that misses the friend I used to have. Wow. That was deep, I would say. Very, very. Anyway, thank you all. I'm going to actually end it here. All my social medias are in the description if you want to come check me out. Sometimes I post up snippets of newer videos that are coming out, and other times I'm just talking about whatever, or posting whatever. But anyway, I'm going to end it off here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Oh yeah, happy Canada Day, by the way. I'm Canadian, so I need to say that. Take care.